From the national headquarters of RT America and our nation's capital, hello again, everybody. I'm Rick Sanchez. You know, there's a battle brewing today between Waze, that's that app that people have on their phones, and most people use it to figure out what's going on in and around the roads in real time. Well, they're having a battle with the New York Police Department, who says they don't want people to know where they may be conducting a checkpoint. Now, who's right in this? First, you know what I want to do? I want to take a step back for you and ask this question. Are checkpoints even legal? Well, the answer is kind of. The Fourth Amendment of our Constitution says that we as Americans are protected against unreasonable searches and seizures, right? So that means police can't just stop you unless they have a reasonable suspicion that you've committed some kind of crime. We put that in our Constitution because that's what the British used to do to us back in the 1700s, so we made sure that we wouldn't do it to ourselves. So what's a checkpoint? Well, it's police stopping you without any suspicion that you've committed a crime, right? I mean, essentially what the police are doing with a checkpoint, it goes something like this. We'll stop everybody and hope that we can catch somebody. So by the letter of the law, that, what I just described, in and of itself is horribly unconstitutional. However, in 1990, in a case called Michigan Police versus Sitz, the Supreme Court decided to give police checkpoints a pass, saying that after all, it is important to keep all the drunks off the roads. So checkpoints are legal unless you live in Wisconsin, Washington, Oregon, and interestingly enough, Michigan. Oh, I forgot Iowa. In those states, they have decided that the U.S. Supreme Court is wrong and that checkpoints do violate our constitutional rights that are guaranteed by our founders. All right, so with all of that, I hope you've got the lesson now, right? Along comes Waze. Waze. That's the driving app. Millions of Americans are using this thing every single day. It tells you everything going on, dead animals on the road, car accidents, slowdowns, traffic jams, fallen trees, detours, and where police have stopped a vehicle or where they're conducting a checkpoint. So police are now saying they want Waze to stop doing that. Technology versus old-fashioned and questionable policing. That's our lead today on the News with Rick Sanchez, where we do believe it's time to do news again. Do you use Waze? Maybe if you don't use Waze, you use Google Streets or one of those apps that tells you what's going on when you drive around. If you do, and if it tells you where police are, somebody is trying to take that privilege away from you, especially when it comes to checkpoints. As first reported in streetsblog.org, the New York Police Department has written a letter to Google. They want them to stop posting any information about police checkpoints. Interesting revelation. Let's begin our coverage with Trinity Chavez, who files this report.
The Waze traffic application is under fire by law enforcement for sharing police locations. Now the NYPD is calling on the application to stop sharing sensitive information like this, saying that it could be considered criminal misconduct. Acquired back in 2013 by Google, the app is especially popular because it alerts drivers about obstacles, accidents, speed traps, and road closures. And while this could be a great way to help drivers save time during their daily commute, it often thwarts the law's ability to catch speeders, or as the NYPD says, drunk drivers. The department demanding in a cease and desist letter that Google disable the crowdsourced app's function that allows motorists to pinpoint police whereabouts.
Jim and Joe are arriving in 6 minutes. They probably got stuck in traffic anyways.
The letter reads, individuals who post the location of DWI checkpoints may be engaging in criminal conduct since such actions could be intentional attempts to prevent and/or impair the administration of the DWI laws and other relevant criminal and traffic laws. The letter also reads that the posting of such information for public consumption is irresponsible since it only serves to aid impaired and intoxicated drivers to evade checkpoints and encourage reckless driving. Revealing the location of checkpoints puts those drivers drivers, their passengers, and the general public at risk. The department calling on Google to immediately remove the function from the app and that Google take every necessary precaution to ensure that GPS data of the NYPD DWI checkpoints or any other substantially similar data is not uploaded or posted at any future time on the Waze mobile application, Google.com, Google Maps, or any other associated internet websites or web portals. Now, while Google has yet to address this specific app feature, a spokesperson told me that they believe in informing their users of speed traps because it could help them keep safe and make better decisions on the road. Reporting in New York, Trinity Chavez, RT.
Look who's going to join us for this conversation. Lee Camp, the host of Redacted Tonight, because he's funny and smart, and we're trying to coax him into joining us as a regular on Fridays. So here he is for his audition.
Don't get the expectations too high. Funny and smart. I don't know about that.
All right, so who needs to win this argument? Technology of our times or somewhat antiquated police procedures?
Well, I mean, there's really rarely is there stopping of technology. Technology always advances, it always increases, and generally it then gets accepted. But you'll notice that when it comes to the privacy of the police, the privacy of the authorities, the privacy of the ruling elite, that's where it's too much. Our privacy, it seems to not be a problem, that every moment we're watched in one way or another. There's a camera somewhere on the street. You know, you can't really do anything now without being filmed. But when it gets to the cops, you know, and they don't want to be known that they're giving, I mean, and where would you stop this? Am I allowed to call a friend and be like, hey, there's a DWI roadblock down the road? Like, you can't report on that?
You know, it's actually against the law. Do you know that this is interesting? I'm glad you mentioned that. You know that some people in America have, I might get in trouble for saying this, so cover me here, okay? If you see a car coming and you know that there's a police officer coming behind you and you blink your lights, you know, that's a thing that all American drivers have been doing for eons now. Do you know that some police officers will give you a ticket for that? They actually will give you a ticket.
What is that law called? Revealing my position?
Yeah, see, but that's the point that you're making, that the police officers are saying, our stuff, we don't want it to get out. But your stuff, not so much, and that's the difference. Now, let me take you to another point here, because let us suppose that Google decides, out of the goodness of their heart, you're right, NYPD, we're going to make sure that nobody knows where you're doing your stops or your checkpoints. Do you think the police officers will be happy with that? That's okay, that's all we wanted.
Yeah, they'll just lay off. Yeah, no, of course not. They want every piece of information they can get. And, you know, we're really not that far, a few years from a place where you could probably scan someone and immediately know what kind of drugs or level of alcohol is in their system, like maybe as they're walking past. And is that going to be allowed? That we just, what level of privacy are we willing to give away for this faux security, this guise of security that is used to constantly take away rights?
But the Supreme Court does have a point, right? When they say, look,
rarely.
But wait a minute, hold on. We know it's unconstitutional, but my gosh, if this is being done to keep drunks off the streets who could literally kill people, let's go ahead and make the exception. They're right about the fact that this does take drunks off the streets, though, right?
I mean, I don't know. I think what angers me the most, I mean, maybe some of the time, but I think what angers me the most, and that's why I'm not saying don't have DWI stops. You can do that. I'm not opposed to those. So there you go. You get to take the drunks off the street. But what angers me the most is the hypocrisy. Like, you know, I lived in New York City for a long time. A lot of the police that I knew or people who had police in their family, they would drive with a few beers in them. That's the norm, I think. But it's hypocrisy.
It's kind of a generation.
And if you get pulled over and you're a politician and you've had a few beers, you get off of that ticket too. So really, it's just for those without much power. They can't drive with a beer.
It's a fascinating question. It's a sign of our time story. In other words, technology is suddenly caught up, and now we've got to make adjustments. How far do we go to push back on technology? You say we shouldn't push back on technology because it won't let you.
I want some privacy back. I want some privacy back.
Lee Camp. Hey, what do you have coming up?
Redacted Tonight, we're again covering updates on Venezuela because it just keeps developing. I mean, John Bolton, that was incredible. John Bolton just saying on Fox News that we want their oil. Like, that kind of thing is just so horrific.
Well, at least he's being honest about it.
At least they're honest.
Thank you. Lee Camp, there you go. Appreciate it.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.